Before we finish up on modules, I want to talk about ECMAScript modules in Node. Now, back when we talked about the common JS approach to modules, we used Node to illustrate that because that has been the method for using modules in Node for a long time. However, that may bring up a question. Why doesn't Node support ES modules or native modules? Well, it does if you're on the right release. So experimental support has been available in Node for a while, but with version 13.2, support became part of the core. Now I'm going to check my version of Node. I'm going to open the terminal here in Visual Studio Code. And I'll just type node-v, and mine is version 13.13. So my version supports modules. If you're on a version prior to 13.2, then modules are supported, but only experimentally. Now, in reality, they're still indicated as experimental, meaning they can change, but now they're supported in the core, so you don't have to enter an experimental command in order to use them. So this version supports it, but similar to what we do in a browser in order to support modules, we need to designate here in Node that we want to use ECMAScript modules. So let's look at how to do that. So I've got the two files that I used with CommonJS right here. These are the two files available for this particular topic. And they are set up using CommonJS. We have a module.exports down here to export those two functions. And then we have a require statement in order to make those available here in app.js. Well, let's go ahead and change these first using native modules. And then we'll look at how we make it work within Node. So this one's pretty easy to change. I can just remove the module and then the equal sign. And there we're exporting, and the S, there we're exporting the two functions that we want to make available using the export command. So we'll go ahead and save that. And then in app.js, let me just comment out this line here. And we're going to import. Then inside of curly braces, we want uppercase name and format name from utilities.js. And then down here we need to remove this utils period because we don't need that anymore to access these. We're importing the functions so we can access them with their name like that. All right, so if I save that and I come down to the terminal and enter node app, what happens? Well, we get a warning. To load an ES module, set type module in the package.json or use the .mjs extension. So basically it's telling us how we can get ES modules working in Node. And then it gives us syntax error. Cannot use import statement outside of a module. So right now it doesn't consider our files a module. But we can use one of these two techniques up here to do that. One is using a .mjs extension on our files. So let's try that one first. I'm just going to rename, right click and rename these. And then right click and rename this one as well. Now both of them are .mjs. Let me just clear this. Let's see what happens now when we enter node app. If we don't put the extension, we still have a problem. However, if we do node app.mjs, oh, I forgot to fix our import statement. Add the .mjs there. Now we can do node app.mjs. And we get the output that we're looking for. So the modules are working. It does give us an experimental warning. The ESM module loader is experimental, meaning that the way they're implementing it could change. But that is one way to use ECMAScript modules inside of Node. Now let's go ahead and look at the other way. Let's change the extension back to JS. This is the way we can use and still use JavaScript files in the normal format. So we've got them back to .js. I've got this import statement back to .js, and I've saved that. But the other method it told us is we need to have something in the package.json file. Right now we don't have a package.json file. In the last topic we looked at how we can create that. Well, npm, I'm going to do a -y. I'm going to do a y option. And basically what that's going to do is just accept the defaults for everything. So it'll create the file right away. So when I press return, it immediately creates the file. And we can see it here. Now, what we need in a package.json is we need a type of module. So let's go ahead and put that in. Comma. And since it's a JSON file, double quotes, colon, like that. Go ahead and save that. Now let's see if we can do node app even without the extension. And yes, we can. This is the main file and it outputs the name. So when we have a package.json file as a part of our project and we put type module in there, it will go ahead and assume that all the JavaScript files can be modules. So that is how you'd go about using native modules or ECMAScript modules within Node. And that brings us to the end of this section. So it's time to move on to another section.